I'm completely at a loss. I don't know what to do. There were warning signs, and I ignored them. I was blinded by love, and never thought this could happen to me. Not with her, my wife, and my closest friend for nearly 20 years. I work out of town and wasn't supposed to be back until tonight. We were set to leave for a 2-week road trip tomorrow. Since things slowed down at work, I came home yesterday afternoon. The trip was meant to give us some alone time, since we'd been so busy with family and friends all summer. When I got home, there was a truck parked in my driveway that I didn't recognize. My neighbor had recently asked me how I liked my new truck, but I just assumed he was mistaken and didn't think much of it. The moment I saw the truck, I felt a terrible sinking feeling in my stomach. I loved my wife and trusted her entirely, but that feeling was strong and impossible to ignore. I crept around the side of the house to our bedroom window, which was open. As I got close, I could hear voices. I looked through the window, and my worst fear became reality. They were right there, both naked, on my bed. I turned and walked away. I've been fighting the urge to do something I know I'll regret. At this point, I'm struggling to care. What happens to me? I went to my family's cabin for the night and drank everything I could find there. Today, I was on my way home to confront her, but I changed my mind. I'm not ready. All I feel is anger. All I think about is violence. I'm not in a good place, not stable enough to see her yet. Now I'm back at the cabin with a 60-ounce bottle of rum. I've been staring at it for an hour, wanting to get drunk and forget everything, but I'm scared I'll get drunk and make some terrible decisions. I know this is a critical point in my life, and the choices I make over the next few days will shape the rest of it. That's why I'm here. I need help. I'm not ready to talk to family or friends, so I'm reaching out to strangers in this world. Update 1. The support and advice I've received is overwhelming. I honestly got choked up realizing how many kind people are out there, willing to help someone they don't even know. It gave me a bit of hope for humanity, right when I needed it most. The only downside is that I'm struggling to reply to everyone. I have over 600 unread private messages and several hundred unread comments. I want to thank each person individually, and I'm going to try, but it'll take a while. For now, I just want to give a big thank you to everyone for your messages and thoughtful advice. It truly means a lot to me. I've noticed a lot of the same comments and questions, so I wanted to offer some clarification along with my minor update. If you can't tell, I'm feeling a lot better today. The pain has nearly faded away. I still feel like I've been punched in the gut, but otherwise, I've started looking to the future. It's only been 2 days, so this doesn't seem normal to me. Is this just the calm before the storm, or am I just weirdly resilient? As for the questions and comments I keep seeing, here are a few quick answers. When I said wife and best friend, I meant my wife was both those things to me. The other man was not my best friend, or even someone I knew. I didn't get a good look at him, but from the brief glimpse I had and the sight of his truck, I don't think he's someone I know. We don't have children, though we were planning to start a family soon. We recently sold our house and were set to move closer to my job in September, after the new owners take over. I'm planning to thank my neighbor, but I'll do it subtly, just like he did for me. A lot of people have asked about the signs I missed. Off the top of my head, here are a few. She was texting unusually late at night. She started going out for drinks with friends after work a lot, which wasn't like her, but I was happy she was being social. She had a weekly yoga class, but apparently didn't pay because a coworker was the instructor, and she helped set up and clean up. I also found it strange that she seemed pretty inflexible for someone who went to yoga every week. Then there were the unknown caller hang-ups. We usually answer each other's phones if we're closer to them, but several times she had calls from unknown numbers that would hang up as soon as I answered. We do get a lot of spam calls, but it's usually a telemarketer or a debt collector looking for the old owner of our number. Rarely is it just a hang-up. The update is still a work in progress. When my brother arrived, we had a long talk. He's truly been my best friend, and I realized I always need to remember that, and know he'll always be there for me without judgment, just as I would be for him. He really sets the standard for what true friendship means, even when we argue, sometimes. Since I was supposed to be home last night, I decided to reply to my wife's text. We aren't allowed to have phones at work, so it made sense that I would only be texting her. She knows I can usually sneak in a few messages, so I wrote her and said I needed to go to one of my company's remote sites and wouldn't be able to call her until the end of the weekend. I told her I'd cancel all the reservations and rebook. Later, she replied that she could take her best friend with her to the romantic bed and breakfast on the vineyard that I had booked for us. I knew it wasn't the friend she wanted me to believe was going. I told her I'd already given it to my brother and his wife since it was non-refundable, and they'd pay me back in a month. This morning, I cancelled all the reservations except for the romantic one. My brother was coming with me. Thankfully, the hotel allowed us to switch from the honeymoon suite to a room with 2 beds. There also happened to be a beautiful lake and boat rentals nearby, so the trip became a long overdue fishing weekend with my brother. Now, I'm free. For the weekend, I don't have to message or talk to her for a few days, which relieves some stress and gives me more time to think. Right now, I'm leaning toward divorce. Honestly, I can't see it going any other way. My brother supports this, but has asked me to wait a few weeks and talk to someone. His wife has a friend who is a couples counselor and is willing to speak with me on Monday. I don't see it changing my mind, but at least it might help untangle some of this mess. I'm also taking advice from here and starting to talk to lawyers, just to prepare for what I think is inevitable. I want to do this right. I never saw her as someone who'd try to screw me over, but I also never imagined she'd cheat, so I have to be ready for anything. Thanks again, everyone. I'm going to try to enjoy my weekend as much as I can. Update 2. A lot has happened these past few days. I'll start with the smaller stuff. My brother Matt and I drove almost 5 hours to the bed and breakfast on the vineyard. I really appreciate him being there for me during all this. It turned into more of a venting session than anything, but it truly helped clear my head. After spending most of the drive complaining to him, I just wanted a little time alone while he went out for dinner. I stayed in the room, and he brought me back something to eat. He also managed to book a boat for the next day. On Saturday, we hit the water. The owner of the B&B heard about our fishing plans and kindly packed us a cooler of snacks and drinks. It was their way of making the romantic package more useful for 2 brothers. It was a nice gesture. The fishing wasn't great. We both caught a couple of trout, but had to release them because they were too small. The snacks from the B&B came in handy. We finished fishing by mid-afternoon and then drove to all the vineyards and fruit stands, buying food and cases of wine for Matt's wife, Jen. That night, we went for the biggest tomahawk steak we could find. On Sunday, we drove back to Matt's place. He lives in the next town over, about an hour from me. When we got there, Jen was waiting, and we all sat down and opened a bottle of chilled white wine we'd brought back. That was when the weekend officially ended for me. Jen told me that while we were away, she decided to check up on my wife. She told me the guy was at my place Friday night, all night. Saturday morning, she managed to get there just as he was leaving. She followed him and found the apartment where he lived. My wife stayed there Saturday night, the same time she was sending me texts saying she loved and missed me. Jen said she was splitting her time between visiting family who live in my town and keeping tabs on my wife. She said she happened to catch my wife leaving his apartment Sunday morning and took a few pictures of them hugging and kissing before my wife got into her car. I don't want to see those. They're all the proof I need. That pretty much sealed it for me. I don't think I could ever trust her again if she can switch her feelings on and off so easily, telling me she loves me while she's with someone else. Still, I decided not to make any rash decisions based on emotion. I need to stay calm and level-headed. That's when Jen told me Sharon was coming over for dinner. She's the counselor Jen set me up with. Just to clarify, Sharon has never met my wife, and I hadn't met her before either. Sharon turned out to be a very kind person, and we got along well. After dinner, Sharon and I went for a walk around Matt's neighborhood to walk the dogs and have a private talk. Sharon was really helpful. She listened patiently and made me feel like I didn't have to put up any walls. It was a relief to be that open about my feelings. As much as I trust my brother, this was different and honestly just what I needed. That's the same reason I'm writing this on Reddit. It's like a venting session that helps me untangle all the confusion in my head. Our walk lasted about an hour, and the only real advice Sharon gave was not to put off the conversation with my wife. She said the longer I wait, the harder it'll be to talk to her about all this. She told me that more than anything, I need clarity, and only my wife can provide that. Later that night, Jen and Matt offered to let me stay with them as long as I needed. I know Matt and I have a time limit before we start getting on each other's nerves, so I called my boss, who was able to set me up in company housing. I've stayed there every other week for a while now, but usually have to leave on my days off. He managed to make it work so I could stay there full-time for a few months if necessary. I decided to book another session with Sharon for later in the week. I figured our walk was enough for a first meeting. She agreed. I spent Sunday night, lying in bed, just thinking about how to approach this conversation. I wrestled with it because even just imagining how it would go made me angry or sad. In the end, I decided to just wing it. I'm usually good under pressure. Yesterday, I got up and said my goodbyes to Matt and Jen. As I drove toward home, I couldn't help but worry. What if he was there when I arrived? I realized that would probably put me right back into the angry headspace I was in a few days ago. So I decided to drive by first. Neither his truck nor my wife's car was there. I went inside and grabbed a bunch of essentials and things I really didn't want to lose, mostly photos and old family heirlooms. I loaded them all into my truck, then went over to the guy's apartment. Her car wasn't there either, but his truck was. I decided to message her and see where she was. She said she was out getting groceries. My trust in her is so broken right now that I actually drove to the grocery store and checked to see if she was there. I feel so ashamed admitting that. But my trust is gone, and it's the only way I know for sure what's going on. I messaged her again and told her to come home because we needed to talk. She replied, asking what was wrong. I just told her she needed to be ready to be honest with me, then turned off my phone. She was home about 15 minutes later. When she came in, she tried to hug and kiss me like always. I turned away from her. She asked again what was wrong. I told her she needed to start being honest with me. She played dumb and said she had no idea what I was talking about. I told her, okay, if you can't be honest, then I'm leaving. She started to panic at that point and asked, are you talking about yoga? I figured that was a start, so I asked her what she meant. She admitted she hadn't been going to yoga. Here's a quick rundown of the rest of our conversation. If you weren't going to yoga, then where were you? I was taking walks to relax. I've been so stressed lately. Why are you so stressed? And why did you lie to me about what you were doing? Preparing for the move has been stressing me out, and I just didn't know how to tell you. So, lying was the choice you made. What were you worried about? Telling me you were going for a walk to clear your head. I didn't mean to lie. I was afraid my stress would just add to your stress. But I'm not stressed. It really feels like you're not telling me everything. What do you mean? I think you're lying about more than just skipping yoga. I'm asking again for honesty. You've already lied to me once. This won't work if you keep lying. I don't know what else to say. Oh, are you talking about last weekend when I went out for drinks with some friends and came home late? I had no idea you went out for drinks or stayed out late. I was at work, a couple of hours away. Is that what you actually did that night? Or was that a lie too? I went for drinks that night, but I didn't see my best friend, who you think I was with. So who did you see? No one. I just drank alone. You drink alone now? Yeah, maybe I have a problem. Maybe we'll talk about that later. Last chance. Be honest, or I'm leaving. I don't know what else to say. Okay, I'm leaving. At this point, I got up and left. Usually, when we fight, I go for a drive to cool off, so she probably thought that's what I was doing. But then, she realized I'd taken my clothes, toiletries, and the Xbox. That's when she started blowing up my phone. I told her I gave her a chance to be honest, and she didn't take it, so there was nothing left to discuss. She begged and pleaded with me to come home and talk in person. She insisted she had no idea why I was upset or what I thought she'd done. She kept repeating that she loved me and would never hurt me. Hearing her say that just tore me apart. Those words used to be comforting, and I always believed them. Now, they feel like a jagged knife sawing through my chest in the most painful way. I couldn't deal with it, so I hung up. She called back around 40 times before I finally answered. This time she asked, "Did you talk to Karen, her best friend?" I asked why, and she said, "Come home. I don't want to say this." Over the phone, I agreed and drove around a bit to calm down before heading home. That conversation went like this. "I assume you spoke to Karen." I didn't say anything. "Well, a few weeks ago while you were at work, we went out for drinks. A couple of guys started buying us drinks, so we just went along with it. When we were leaving, one of the guys tried to kiss me. I pulled away and told him I was married. I felt terrible about it and wanted to tell you, but I'm an idiot and just decided to keep it from you. Karen hooked up with the other guy and gave his friend my number without asking me. He's texted me a few times since then, but I've never written back. Can I see your phone? Yes. She showed me her phone, which was completely empty except for text with me and her mother. She never deletes her texts, so this was suspicious. I checked her photos, which were also wiped clean, but then I looked at the deleted photos and found one of a guy I didn't recognize. Who's this? That's the guy who tried to kiss me. Why did you take a picture of him? I was just being stupid. That's not a real answer. Why did you take a picture of him? I don't know. Is that everything you want to tell me? Or is there more? That's all I can think of. Once again, I left. I didn't want to sit there getting drip-fed half-truths. I got in my truck and drove away. She ran outside, trying to stop me, but I was already gone. I drove to a park nearby and just sat on the tailgate eating lunch, trying to figure out my next move. While sitting there, I started remembering other things I should have been more alert about. Things like working a weekend shift while she was in bed early, or the time my wife went out to the club with some girlfriends. I woke up at 4 a.m. and she still wasn't home. I called a few times but got no answer. About 30 minutes later, she called and asked if I could come get her. When I picked her up, she told me they were trying to find a taxi but had no luck. A couple of guys one of her friends knew stopped and offered them a ride, but they wanted to swing by their place first. When they got to the guy's house, her married friend went into a room with one of the guys. My wife said she spent a while searching for her friend, but eventually gave up and just had a drink in the kitchen with the roommates while she waited. She claimed she didn't hear her phone when I called. We argued about it, and she told me. She was disgusted by her friend's actions and cut her out of her life. I thought that chapter was closed. Another time, she traveled to visit a close friend in another city for a planned girls' night. Supposedly just 4 girls, drinking and watching movies in their pajamas. At least, that's what I was told. Then she called around 1 a.m. to say goodnight. We talked for about 20 minutes, and she kept insisting they were having a great girls' night. Then, I heard a man's voice in the background. I asked who it was, and she denied hearing anything at first. Then it happened again, louder, and she couldn't deny it anymore. She finally said, "Oh yeah, X brought a couple of guys with her. Everyone here is pissed about it. She was drunk and 3 hours away, so I had no choice but to trust her. We fought about that too, about why she wouldn't just tell me the guys were there. She promised never to put herself in that position." Again, clearly, that promise didn't last. After replaying all those memories and conversations in my mind, I felt ready to give things one last chance. I turned my phone back on, and almost instantly, it rang. I answered, and she was sobbing, begging me to come home. I drove back to the house. As soon as I walked in, she confronted me, bawling her eyes out, repeating, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I asked, "Sorry for what?" She started rocking back and forth like she was losing her mind. It took her 5 minutes just to catch her breath enough to talk. I lied about the guy who tried to kiss me, okay? Tell me what happened. The 4 of us actually went back to his place that night. We fooled around. I knew it was more than just that, but hearing her admit it made me dizzy. It felt like the room was closing in, with a million voices, in my head at once. I think I was having a panic attack. I went to the bathroom and splashed cold water on my face until I could breathe again. "What did you do? Do you really want me to tell you?" "Yes." "All right, we'll skip the graphic details, but it was bad." "Was that it?" "Yes. I'm done playing games. You either tell me everything now, or this is the last time we'll ever speak." She started bawling again and needed a few more minutes to pull herself together. We met, up again, and had sex. "I'm so sorry. I love you and will do anything to make up for this. Just the one time. Please, if I tell you the truth, give me a chance to make it up to you. I'll do whatever you want. I'll think about it. It was an affair. We'd been hooking up while you were out of town for work. It's been going on for almost a month now. He's married, and they're about to get divorced." "Does he know you're married?" "Yes." "If he's cheating because his marriage is falling apart, does that mean you think ours is failing? Is that what you told him?" "No, I don't think our marriage is failing. I'm so stupid. I hate myself. Please don't leave me. I can fix this." "How? What would you do if you were in my place? Or even in his wife's place? What would fix it for you?" "Knowing the truth. Being able to trust you to mean what you say. You can trust me. I messed up. I won't do it again. If you were his wife, wouldn't you want to know the truth?" Yes. Then fix this. Do you want me to call her? If that's what you'd want. She tried calling, but no one picked up. A few minutes later, her phone rang. The caller ID said Karen Work. She looked surprised, so I knew it wasn't Karen. I asked if it was him. She nodded. I answered. And, being the coward he was, he said, "Oops, must have the wrong number." I replied, "No, this is the husband of the woman you've been sleeping with. I'm going to let you talk to her because she has something to say." I handed her the phone. She told him everything. He knows the whole truth. We're done. It was just a fling, and you need to never contact me again. I asked to see the phone before she hung up. "What divorce lawyer are you using?" "I'm not getting divorced." "Oh, but didn't you tell your wife that you were—" "No." "Okay then. Can I speak to your wife? I feel she deserves to know about this as much as I do. Please, man. I didn't know she was married. Don't ruin my marriage over a mistake." "You ruined mine over a mistake. It's only fair that I tell your wife." "Please don't. She's at work right now. I'll tell her everything when she gets home, I swear." "Okay, you do that." That's when I hung up. I asked my wife if she knew where his wife worked and what her name was. She did. I had my wife call her office and ask for her. She got through, and I told her to take a seat. The woman said she was just about to leave for the day and would call my wife. Back from her car. She did. His wife. "What's going on?" My wife. "I have something terrible to tell you, and I don't want to cause any accidents. Please don't drive." "Oh my God, did something happen to—" No. He's at your apartment right now. I'm just letting you know that we've been having an affair for a month. I'm coming clean to my husband right now and thought you should have the same respect." She went silent for about a minute, then said, "If this is some sick joke, I'll find out who you are." Then she hung up. Not even 10 minutes later, my wife got a text from Karen Work saying, "Thanks, you just ruined my life." I grabbed the phone and wrote back, "You just ruined 4 lives and 2 marriages. Don't forget this is your fault, you piece of crap." For the next hour, my wife begged and pleaded with me to stay. She offered counseling. She offered to never leave my side. She even offered sexual favors. This was everything I expected thanks to the comments in here. She then said we should still go on that vacation, her treat. "We need time away," she said. "We need to spend quality time together because your work schedule has pushed us apart lately." Again, exactly what I expected her to say. She definitely wasn't expecting me to tell her that I'd gone anyway, or that I already had counseling booked for myself, or that I'd caught her with someone else on my own bed. I doubt she expected I already had a place lined up to stay. When I told her all of that, she fell to the floor bawling. She started saying she didn't deserve to live. She begged me to just kill her because she was too awful to be with anyone. It went on like that for a while. I stayed for 4 hours, listening to her make excuses, then try to hug or cuddle or offer sex if I would just stay and work through it with her. In the end, I called Karen and told her that her cheating friend was suicidal and someone should keep an eye on her. Then I left. It's been almost a full day since all that happened, and I haven't spoken to her since. She's been calling and texting me all day. Her friends and family have been calling and texting too. Everyone has a different excuse or a different plea for sympathy. Her father is the only one who reached out and told me I need to do what's best for me, and that he'll always love me like a son, no matter what happens. Reading that finally made me break down and cry for the first time since this all began. I meet with Sharon, my counselor, tomorrow, and a lawyer on Thursday. I think you know where this is heading, but until it actually happens, I'm just not sure about anything. Final update. This past week was intense. I've been bouncing back and forth between camp and my brother's place, trying not to burden them too much, so I only stay when I have an early appointment. My company allowed me to take a few weeks for personal time, which has been a massive help. I've kept seeing Sharon, the therapist, 3 sessions so far. Personally, I'm in a much better state of mind than I was last week, so while I'm not sure the visits are super productive, it's been good just to clear some thoughts out of my head. For that reason, I'll keep going for now. I spoke with a lawyer last Thursday. Following their advice, I made a list of all assets and finances, including debt. Then I went to the bank and asked them to put a stop on our accounts so that neither of us can withdraw money without the other present. We both have our pay deposited into our personal accounts, so this won't prevent either of us from accessing new money, just the old and shared money. The lawyer did suggest that I shouldn't confront her until I actually serve the papers, but it's far too late for that now. All week, I was getting calls and texts non-stop from my wife, her family, and her friends. Over the weekend, my sister-in-law organized a family get-together at the cabin. I went and finally dropped the bombshell on my family. At least now it's out in the open, and I can include them in my recovery. Things were going as well as could be expected until Saturday night. Around 8 p.m., I was sitting by the fire with my brother and dad when my wife's car pulled up. My brother Matt said he'd handle it, and my dad and I decided to take a walk around the property, out of sight from the driveway. We'd barely gotten into the woods when I heard my wife shouting at my brother to move out of her way. She had a couple of friends with her, and they were yelling at Matt too, telling him to mind his own business. He did his best, but they were too much for him to handle. She got past him and made a beeline for us. She must have spotted us heading that way. My dad offered to deal with her, but I told him I'd handle it. My wife, let's call her Kate for simplicity's sake, came running over to me, sobbing, and immediately tried to hug me. I didn't stop her, but I didn't hug her back either. She begged me to just talk to her. I agreed, and we walked the property trails to get a little privacy. Kate told me that the other guy's wife had left him. She said he called her, threatening to kill himself, and blamed everything on her. She claimed she told him to just do it, and hasn't spoken to him since. Then she pulled out a piece of paper and started listing all the ways she promised to make it up to me. Once again, everything she'd already offered on the first day. Couples counseling, sexual favors, and more. Then she caught me off guard. She said she didn't want to keep living this way and wanted us both to quit our jobs and move overseas to start that little beach bar we'd always talked about. She said she would leave right now if I'd go with her. For context, this past week, while trying to imagine my life after divorce, that was the only dream I could really picture. A complete restart, somewhere far away. I figured, if I'm already making massive changes, maybe I should just go all the way and do exactly what I want. Hearing her say the exact same thing snapped me right back into missing her and wishing we could be together. But that was the moment. I knew I had to end the conversation. I walked her back to her car where her friends were waiting. I told her I'd be willing to talk on the phone, but couldn't promise anything beyond that. That calmed her down enough for her to leave. We've spoken on the phone every night since, but it's always the same. She cries and begs for another chance. I get angry about what she did and hang up. I'm really struggling with missing her. She was my best friend for decades, and losing that person to talk to is incredibly hard. Realizing that all the dreams and plans we shared are just gone, it's devastating. All I want is to pack up and start over somewhere new. I wish that could be with her, but she destroyed that. She stole it from me.